If you took a textbook on how to build a Florida city and then threw it directly into a swamp, you might end up with a place like we find ourselves in today. Most cities start with a downtown and grow outward, but this one did the exact opposite. It was sold by mail order before it even existed and turned swampland into a ghost town that sat empty for nearly 40 years, only to later become one of the fastest growing cities in America and the largest city in all of Sarasota County.
Unlike most of Sarasota County, the population here is surprisingly young, the homes are relatively affordable, and there are canals everywhere. Now, if that all didn't sound unusual enough, this city has an entire forest within the city limits, a warm mineral spring that some believe to be the true fountain of youth, and it has port in its name even though it's completely landlocked.
Now, if you haven't guessed it already, today we are in Northport, Florida, and for the next 36 hours, we're going to be exploring this Florida city that breaks all the rules.
We're starting off at probably the most unique attraction in all of Northport, the warm mineral springs. It's around 30,000 years old, and it's known to have the highest mineral content of all the springs in the United States.
Now, one of the reasons we decided to come here in February, particularly this February, is that it has been abnormally cool here in Florida. We've had a lot of days that have only gotten into the 40s and 50s, so we thought that coming here to the warm mineral springs and getting in the 85-degree water would feel great. Unfortunately, though, today is supposed to be one of the warmest days we've had in the last month. It's supposed to be over 80, but we're still looking forward to getting in the water.
There are a few ramps for easy access into the spring, but I'm gonna say I don't think this feels 85 degrees at all.
Well, it's definitely warmer than like a lake or even the Gulf would be this time of year, but I agree it feels colder than 85.
I'm okay that it's gonna be warm today.
The water, it's hard to describe, it just feels thick. How's your skin feeling by now?
Baby soft. We've only been in here for a few minutes and already my skin feels so soft. I'm sure it's because of the over 50 minerals that are found in the water.
Because the mineral count in these waters is so high, they do say that it's much easier to float and swim in. And I did want to test that out, but they also say that these waters are very bad for your hair, which does explain why the only person I've seen swimming in here so far is an older bald guy.
Skylar decided he wanted to swim out in the deep area before we left. He's moving very slowly to try to keep his hair out of the water.
You definitely smell the sulfur a lot more when you go further out towards the middle.
Really?
Yeah. Now, we have taken you to a lot of Florida springs on this channel, and just like all of those, the water in this springs is really clear, but that's pretty much where the similarities end. Where the vast majority of those springs have 72-degree water year-round, the water here is 85 degrees year-round. It's starting to feel pretty good now.
Yeah, we're finally getting used to it.
This spring is shaped like a cone. It's got an area roped around the outside where most adults would be able to touch, but if you make your way inside, it gets much deeper. A lot of people do bring pool noodles to float around in. At the entrance, you could buy them for $5, but if you have your own, you might as well bring them.
Now, while this spring is much different than most of the springs you'll find in Florida, it's also very different from the hot springs that you'll find in the western parts of the U.S. in the mountains. Those springs often get up to over 100 degrees and are actually heated by magma underneath the surface of the earth. Whereas the springs here, the water originates over 3,000 foot underneath the earth's surface. The earth is still much warmer down there, and since the water comes up so quickly, it doesn't have time to cool down, and that's why the water in these springs is so much warmer than most you'll find in Florida.
Now, something we weren't expecting here, there are actually lifeguards.
So we've been in here about an hour or so now, maybe. Are you feeling more youthful yet?
Yeah, I think probably 5 years younger.
So 20 then?
Exactly 20.
This is the most we have paid to access a Florida spring yet. It was $20 per person. But if it can prevent us from going to the doctor or maybe add on a few years to our lives, I would say that it is worth it. Now, the buildings here were damaged in the hurricanes, but they do have restrooms that are open and you can bring your own food and drink. Now, we are here on a Tuesday, but we are pretty surprised by how busy it is. There's got to be a few hundred people here, but it really doesn't feel that busy because there is so much room to spread out.
Now, while we were out in the water, we could hear a lot of people talking, and we noticed that a lot of them were not speaking in English. I think a lot of them were actually speaking in Russian, which kind of does make sense because we heard there's a very large Eastern European population here in Northport. Apparently, the mineral springs is a big part of culture for a lot of Eastern Europeans, and the springs here is the reason that so many of them have come to settle here in this part of Florida. Now, because there is a large Eastern European population here, that means there's also going to be some Eastern European shops and restaurants, and we're actually going to take you to one of those spots for lunch.
We've made it to our lunch spot, which is Little Brooklyn Food House. It's a popular Eastern European eatery here in Northport, and we can't wait to see what's on the menu. So we had to go with our lunch special because you could get 2 meats, 2 sides, and you had the option to add a soup. I went with the stuffed cabbage. I think there's chicken in there, and this is a different chicken dish, but with mushrooms. Then I got pierogies and an eggplant side. While we were waiting in line, multiple people said we had to try the eggplant, so I'm gonna taste that first. So the sauce in that is really thick. It's salty and just a tad bit sweet. I do really like it.
I also went with the lunch special, but I added the soup. The soup, I think, is some sort of potato and cabbage soup. I got 2 different types of meatballs for my meat. One has chicken, and I think the other one has beef and lamb. And for my sides, I got buckwheat and barley with mushrooms. Now, I am really curious about this soup. I don't think I've ever seen a soup quite this color before, or one with sour cream in it. That is so unique. I don't even know how to describe it. It definitely has cabbage in it. I wouldn't say it's a sauerkraut flavor. It is slightly sour, but also slightly sweet. And then the sour cream actually goes really nicely with it. I like it. Now, we got to try so many new things in this meal today, and the majority of it was good to great. Jamie did say she would pass on the soup, and we both kind of agreed we'd probably pass on the meatball with lamb in it, just because it did have a fairly strong kind of gamey lamb flavor. If you're a fan of that flavor, you may love it, but it's probably a pass for us. Now, I gotta take back what I said about that lamb meatball. It may taste a little bit gamey on its own, but when you mix it with that eggplant side, it is delicious. Jamie still is not a big fan of that soup though.
We absolutely love the chicken and mushroom dish as well as the eggplant side. The chicken was really tender and juicy, and the vegetables and the eggplant side almost melted in your mouth. We used the sauce on that on several items. We also really enjoyed the barley and mushroom side. It was very creamy, as well as the chicken meatball. It was dense and flavorful.
On the way out of the food house, I spotted these Georgian sodas, and these are from the country of Georgia, not the state. And I have no idea what this fruit is, so I was not a huge fan of the Georgian soda, but maybe Jamie will be.
We're gonna have to Google this. So according to Google, this fruit tastes like strawberry, pineapple, and mint, which is why I couldn't identify anything because I wasn't thinking of like multiple fruits.
Right. I enjoy all those things individually, but apparently I do not enjoy them together.
I do. It's really good.
So here's the thing about Northport. When developers were designing it back in the 50s and 60s, they kind of forgot to include a downtown. And as a result, for years, Northport just didn't have that city center area where you could go grab a bite to eat and drink, walk around a bit, maybe catch some live music. But they're trying to change that all right here in downtown Wellen. Wellen Park is a massive master plan community formerly known as the West Villages that sits on around 11,000 acres. Currently, it has a population of around 12 to 15,000. But that is expected to rocket up to around 60,000 over the next several years. Now, downtown Wellen here definitely does not have that old Florida charm of many of the cities we've taken you to on this channel. Everything is really modern and very clean. And while they may not have old rustic buildings or charming mom and pop shops, the businesses we've found here do mostly seem to be Florida based, and they do have some really nice amenities here as well.
Now, one of those businesses is Foxtail Coffee. They started out in Winter Garden, and now you can find locations stores all throughout Florida, as well as 5 other states. We popped in there to get a cafe con leche because that is exactly what we needed to avoid a food coma after that massive meal we just had. Some of those amenities Skylar mentioned include a playground, a small splash pad, a dog park, and a kayak launch into probably the most impressive amenity, which is the 80-acre Grand Lake with a 3-mile loop trail around it, which we're on right now.
So I have a feeling that this dog park is not quite open yet, because if it was, I would think it'd be full of dogs right now because it is awesome. It has hoops for them to jump through and even has a tunnel in it.
Oh my gosh. These bunnies are running within like feet of us. I don't know if these guys are typically here or not, but they are entertaining. I think we're enjoying watching the bunnies along this trail even more than the lake view. One thing we think Northport does lack is quality options when it comes to hotels. We just were not impressed when we were doing our research, but thankfully we did find the perfect little Airbnb to stay at. So while we finish up this loop trail, we're gonna show you a little footage from that, and then we're gonna meet back up with you for happy hour. Welcome to our studio Airbnb, which is actually a converted garage. While technically it is located in Port Charlotte, it is just across the border from Northport, and it's very convenient to all the places we're taking you to in this episode. Even though it's small, it has everything we need, plus a few extras, including a rainfall shower head, a handheld shower, a bidet, a light-up mirror, a kitchenette, really cute appliances, a fully stocked coffee station, a table and chairs, a king bed, a large TV, and a sitting area with a really cool retro couch. And we can't forget to mention the hanging Bali style lights, as well as the art gallery on the wall behind me. Now, since we aren't staying long, we decided that this was the perfect little getaway to use not only our bento bags, but also our origami tote to make the packing process as simple and easy as possible. We actually brought our tote to the More Mineral Spring yesterday. I was able to fit our towels, sunscreen, bug spray, water bottles, snacks, sunglasses, my purse, my phone, and thanks to all the pockets and pouches, there was a place for everything. My things didn't get lost in the abyss like with other totes.
Once again, I was able to pack a couple changes of clothes, a bunch of random electronics we use on our filming trips, an extra pair of shoes, a laptop, and this time I was even able to fit in my travel fan. I really appreciate that this bag has a key leash, a pouch for my phone, and a pocket for my wallet, which makes packing a breeze for our frequent travels, whether it's driving somewhere here in Florida or hopping on a flight.
If you're ready to upgrade your travel bags to ones that are functional and prioritize organization, but are also stylish and comfortable, then go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the video description to purchase your own bento bag and origami tote today. And be sure to use code Explorcation10 to save 10%. We do have to thank Nomad Lane for sponsoring this episode. Now let's get back to exploring more of Northport.
So we made it here to Oak and Stone with 20 minutes to go in happy hour. And during their happy hour, all the beers on their Pour Your Own beer wall are 25% off. So I'm gonna be sampling as many of these beers as possible over the next 20 minutes. I started off with a pickle goza. It is as weird as it sounds. It tastes very much like dill pickles. I kind of like it. Wouldn't want to drink too much of it though. So the rooftop here at Oak and Stone does have a really nice view of the downtown area, the lake, and we're thinking that in a few minutes it's gonna have a pretty good view of sunset as well. Time to get another beer. So there's only 4 hours left in So there's only 4 minutes left in happy hour, but there's still 2 more beers that I wanted to try, so I had to get them both. This is a Dortmunder lager. I've never had it before, but it looks interesting. And this one I have had before is Dragon's Milk Stout, and I know it's delicious. I'm gonna try this lager though. Ooh, I like this beer a lot. This is my favorite of the night so far, easily. It's a little bit malty, just a little bit bitter. Still tastes like a really clean, crisp lager though. I like it.
While the second level here at Oak and Stone is a great place to watch sunset, it's also a great spot to listen to the live music down below.
Now this dark beer here is Dragon's Milk Stout from New Holland Brewery. I think it's like 11% alcohol. It's a little bit malty, a little vanilla flavor. It's a really good imperial stout. Just as good as I remember it. Perfect sunset beer. Now we were still planning on taking you to one more spot in Wellen Park tonight, and that was the Tiki Bar at Cool Today Stadium. Now you baseball fans out there may know that that is the home of the Atlanta Braves spring training, but unfortunately when we got there we found out that the Tiki Bar's hours are limited this week. Now a staff member at the stadium actually let us know if we show up in the morning we could actually enjoy the Tiki Bar while watching the Braves practice, so we decided to just grab a snack, head back to our Airbnb to get a good night's sleep, and make our way back to the stadium in the morning.
We decided to stop through the European market on our way to our Airbnb, and there were too many desserts to choose from. We chose 3 different Slavic desserts. The first one is a honey cake, which is a layered cake. The second is called hori, and it's filled with caramel. And the third is a cheesecake with raisins. So the cake layers are pretty spongy, and the frosting in between has a cream cheese base. You can taste the honey in there, but it's very subtle. It's really good. So the outside is kind of crumbly. The inside is filled with caramel, but to me it kind of tastes like a gingerbread cream. It's very thick. I really like the flavor and texture.
Now this may be the first time I've ever seen a cheesecake with raisins in it. It also has a really bready texture, and it came served with sweetened condensed milk and sour cream, so it's pretty safe to say that this is going to be anything but your typical American cheesecake. Now I am a huge cheesecake fan, but I was right. This is nothing like your typical American cheesecake. The texture is much drier than your normal cheesecake, but I really like it. And the sour cream and sweetened condensed milk actually go together really well. It's delicious. As you can see, we've made it back to Cool Today Park. We've already heard a few balls being hit, so hopefully that means we can see some of the players. And we have confirmed that the Tiki Bar is open, so we'll see you up there.
I am so glad we came back this morning because not only is the Tiki Bar open and they're practicing, but we could walk around the entire stadium. We were able to go down to the front row and get a really close-up look at batting practice. And some of the players would even come out to take pictures and give autographs. It was really cool to see all the kids get so excited to meet the players.
So we weren't quite sure what to expect from a Tiki Bar located within a spring training stadium, but I think we're both really impressed. It's open air, it's got a massive rectangular bar, and it's got a good selection of both food and drinks, and the prices are really impressive for a stadium too. But without a doubt, the best feature of this Tiki Bar is the views of the field. Now, since this is Braves spring training, I thought it was only fitting to get a Georgia beer. This is a Sweetwater IPA. I think it's like 18 ounces, and it comes in a souvenir cup, and it's only $8. Really good deal.
We ended up ordering their zingers, which are chicken strips on a bed of fries. We got them with hot sauce and blue cheese. Now while we wait for those, I'm gonna tell you about the bakery we went to this morning. It's called K&K. It's another European bakery. I ordered a hot latte, Skylar ordered an iced latte. My latte was delicious. It had a very well balanced coffee flavor, but since Skylar ordered a large, he is wishing he would have got an extra shot of espresso because he said his tasted a little bit more like coffee flavored milk. But it looks like our zingers are on the way. So that chicken strip isn't very crispy, but the bacon on top is, and the sauce is spicy and salty, and the portion size is huge, so I'm not complaining.
Now we do got to mention that we're so glad that this Tiki bar was actually closed when we tried to visit yesterday, because otherwise we wouldn't have come this morning when we could actually see the players practicing. Even though we're not huge baseball fans, we still had a really good time here today. Now if you're having a really good time watching this video, or at least if it hasn't put you to sleep yet, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and that hype button, because doing so will help this video get out to a wider audience and will allow us to keep making more Florida episodes.
The Cool Today Stadium is located within Wellen Park, which can be a little bit confusing because Wellen Park is legally within Northport city limits, but it actually has a Venice zip code. Now, if you do want to try to catch a spring training game here, they're scheduled through March 24th of this year, and the Tiki Bar is open during every game.
We've made it into the Myakka State Forest, which covers over 13 square miles, and as we mentioned earlier, is contained entirely within the city limits of Northport. This state forest has over 40 miles of trails, and we're gonna start off on the one that's rated best for hiking, which is the Gordon Smith Trail. It's a 1.5 mile loop trail.
I hope there's some shade up there because it is real sunny right now. If you've been paying attention to Florida news, then you might have heard that some areas of the state have been in a pretty severe drought. Now, this trail itself still has quite a bit of color because of the palm trees and the pine needles, but if we had been getting more rain, I'm sure this trail would be even more colorful.
Thankfully, the majority of the plants in this forest are native and are built to withstand the extremes of Florida weather, whether it be 10 inches of rain in one day and 95 degrees in the summer, or 2 months of no rain and near freezing temperatures in the winter.
After a pretty chilly winter, we are experiencing a bit of a heat wave. Today it is sunny and in the lower 80s, but it is pretty comfortable out here. We are appreciating every little spot of shade. We probably wouldn't recommend coming out on this trail in the summertime because the shade spots are pretty limited.
Now, there is a fee of $2 to access this park. You can scan a code when you arrive and pay with a credit card. We did see a couple other cars in the parking lot when we got here, but as far as we can tell, we are the only 2 people out on this trail right now. Now, they do have these number markers about every 1/10 of a mile or so, I think. We're on number 9 right now, which means we've gone 0.9 miles and are about 2/3 of the way through this hike. And after we're done with this hike, we're gonna hit a bike trail. Now, just like in the Myakka River State Park, which we have visited on this channel and isn't too far from here, you will find an abundance of wildlife here in the Myakka State Forest, including alligators, white-tailed deer, wild boar, raccoons, coyotes, bobcats, and a whole bunch of different birds, but honestly, we haven't seen a whole lot of anything yet. So after several hundred feet of hardly any shade, we came across this little covered pavilion, and I can tell Jamie is happy.
This is my favorite spot. I was also really happy to come across this picnic table because it gave us an opportunity to try some snacks that we grabbed earlier from K&K Bakery. I mentioned them when talking about our coffee this morning, but I didn't mention that they are a highly rated bakery. Their display case today was absolutely full of a ton of delicious looking sweet and savory items. Now, because we knew we were coming out on these trails and we weren't sure when we were going to be able to try them, we went with day old items because they were wrapped up really nicely. I chose this chocolate croissant thing, and Skylar went with this.
I have no idea what that thing is called, but I'm pretty sure we got a video of it. So I went back and looked through our footage, and I'm pretty sure this thing is called Vatrushka. If any of you guys have ever had this before or know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, let us know in the comments. So this is definitely some sort of cheese in the middle. It's kind of like a cream cheese, but a little bit more like a crumbly cheese in texture. Kind of hard to describe. Just slightly sweet, but the flavor is great. And the pastry that it's in seems pretty fresh as well, even though it's day old. I would definitely get one of these again.
I'm glad we got one of these too because it held its freshness a lot better than the croissant did. But if we were to go back, I did notice that they had a bunch of these, a lot of them with fruit filling. I think I'd want to try one of those next.
We finally got a little bit of cloud cover for our walk back, hoping it sticks around for our bike ride.
We've made it to the north entrance of the forest in order to hop on a trail that we can get out on our bikes. And currently there's about 4 different trails we can choose from. Skylar's trying to figure out which one is the correct one. We're trying to get on the Palmetto Trail. I think it's around 10 miles, but I doubt we're gonna ride that far.
So the All Trails app is kind of making it look like we have to go down that trail, but that trail is very sandy. And this one right here actually has a bike sign on it, it looks like, and they got the 2 little orange flags. So I'm thinking we're gonna try that one.
So we were standing here trying to figure out which of these trails we go down, and I saw a snake slithering across there. But as soon as I took a step in that direction, it slithered back.
You still want to go down that trail?
No.
It's just a black racer, they're good.
It was a small snake.
Yeah, those are good snakes. I am liking this trail so far. It's very narrow and very windy, so you got to keep it pretty slow, but there's a lot to look at and it is very pretty so far. Now each of our e-bikes has 5 levels of pedal assist, but currently we're both on level 0. We're not using any at all because you have to keep it so slow because there's so many sharp turns. But here it's starting to open up a little bit. Are you glad we decided to go down this trail?
Yeah, it's a lot prettier than I was expecting.
Think they want to do all 10 miles?
Not today. Maybe on a different day.
I think we can do at least 6.
What?
Yeah. If we go 6 miles per hour, that's 1 hour.
Oh.
Although we're probably only going like 4 miles per hour so far. This is definitely not a trail you want to be daydreaming on.
No, it's like you're biking through a field of palms.
Yeah.
With a tall pine tree here and there for just a little bit of shade.
This is a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I don't think we've taken bikes out on a trail quite like this before.
This really does feel like you're in a forest. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Jamie, I think we're about a mile in now. How many more miles do you think we're going to go?
I don't know. 1, maybe 2.
2 more?
I don't know.
We got at least 2 more in us. Oh, look at it to the left.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now we're about 1.5 miles into this trail now, and I am still loving it, but I definitely would say it is a mountain bike trail. I would not take a road bike down this because while parts of it are pretty flat and smooth, other parts of it have some pretty deep sand on it, and other parts have some pretty big roots that you have to drive over. I'm definitely glad we have our Heybikes with their big, fat, aggressive tires and their good suspensions. I will say they do a pretty good job of marking off the most dangerous spots though. We've definitely seen some orange and pink flags throughout the trail on the sharp turns, areas where there's some really big roots, and also where there's some deeper sand. So after 2 miles on this trail, we decided to turn back because honestly, we just didn't plan for a very long ride because we are already out of water. And the main reason we came out here was just to test out my e-bike. Now you may remember when we rode on the Legacy Trail a while back, my bike's battery did not quite keep up with Jamie's. So I decided it was time for an upgrade. So I got to thank Heybike for sending me this Mars 3.0. Now, while the jury is still out on whether the battery on this bike will keep up with Jamie's, after riding it around 2 miles on some pretty rough terrain, I am loving the smooth suspension and acceleration. Now, we do plan on taking these bikes out on some much longer rides in the future, but for now, we're heading back to the trailhead.
While Skylar folds up and loads up our e-bikes, I'm going to take a moment to congratulate those of you who guessed where we would be filming this week's episode. In our Anna Maria episode, we gave a few hints, and future me is going to shout out the first 3 of you to guess Northport correctly. The first was Rico Caliente 5344, second was RHWX 4LQ, and third was Gators Rock 8082. Next week, we're heading back to the Gulf Coast, to the place where you'll find the widest beaches in all of Pinellas County. Now put your best guess in the comments, and the first 3 of you to guess correctly will get a shout out in that episode.
Now that hike and bike ride allowed us to build up just enough appetite for dinner, which brings us here to our final food stop in Northport, which is Puerto Rican Spice. Now over the course of our several trips to Puerto Rico, we developed a love for the food, especially the sandwiches and the mofongo, so that's what we ordered here. So our food just arrived and the mofongo is covered in this pork and it's super tender and so good. It's very creamy, not dry at all. You can really taste the pork, which is delicious and tender. This rivals some of the best mofongos we had in Puerto Rico for sure. It's excellent.
This is a really good sandwich. The chicken is very tender, the bread is soft, they're very generous with their mayo, and there's even something crunchy in there. I think they're potato strips. If you're in the sandwich mood, I would definitely recommend this.
Now that dinner here at Puerto Rican Spice definitely did not disappoint, and neither has our time here in Northport. We do understand that it's not on the top of most people's Florida travel destinations, but maybe you should at least consider adding it to yours because we had so much fun here over the last couple of days. Now we still have so much more of Florida to explore, including a whole lot more of less touristy destinations like Northport, and if you don't want to miss any of those future episodes, be sure you're subscribed to our channel and have those notifications turned on. We'll see you next time.